Bum 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 ba-dum ba-dum bum bum
Oh,
bum
mate,
bum
I'm
bum.
bum.
Man, 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 man. Bum 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 bum.
Go on, let's join in. Money, bum, bum, bum. Bash Bros.
Then I have a problem. And this is what has been the problem throughout the industry. People listening to the wrong people. People thinking that we as pros, if I was to say what I did, people go, oh, he's lying. What have I? I've got no fucking reason to lie.
Are you going to give us some singing?
No.
Oh, pussy clapped.
We all know, and the only one who sings is you.
Mate, I've got it. I've got the golden touch.
You've not done us a rendition for a while, mind.
Well, new year, new me. I'm all about the positivity now, not like a corona test or an AIDS test. Yeah. Those are the positives I'm going to stay away from. But yeah, hashtag blessed. New year, new me. Positive outlook. I mean, you know, I'm going to try my best. You know, I think physique's a really great category.
Talking about that, Gary, what is this competition you signed up for, pal? Jesus Christ.
Oh, what is this?
Oh, Will's FitX.
It's a fitness competition. It's not even got any
Oh,
you do like climbing and swimming and wanking into a bag.
Just a little play show before the big ones happen, isn't it?
A little play show.
Little play show.
Yeah, I heard all the champs do that. Phil Heath did a bit of that.
Well, I'm not Phil Heath. I'm just picking up anything I can grab, everyone.
What is it? Is it like online? Do you do your posing like on WhatsApp?
Yeah, so you do in the back garden, and then they'll judge you from there. And then
how much do they charge you to enter? 400 quid.
Probably.
That sounds like a great plan.
It's in Cardiff Stadium.
They literally don't have any bodybuilding classes.
Really?
No, so fuck all.
It's
just a fitness expo show that they're putting on, really, and they're just doing all the classics. So
hands up who wants to vote Geraint off the podcast now. He's out.
It's only 2 votes, but
it's only 2. John's staying impartial. I like it.
I'm supporting the LGBT movement.
Yeah.
We could do compete in a Cardiff Stadium. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
To a packed out crowd.
Yeah. If there's 5 people there, I'm happy. You know.
There was who got fined. It was like a massive fine for like a football team because they put sex dolls in the crowd. Who was that? They got like an £80,000 fine because they like tried to like make a fake audience out of sex dolls.
What TV do you watch?
I mean, for me, like, I think it's quite reassuring, you know, time at home, people are like, oh, I've got one of those, just, you know, bring your sex doll to work club. You know, it's like bring your kid day or whatever, but for sex dolls.
Yeah, just like me bringing my missus.
Yeah, see, exactly. Self-cleaning wank socks. Just bring them along.
Welcome back to Bash Bros episode 30. We have a special guest, John Hodgson, aka Mr. Condition. John, could you give us a little rundown on your bodybuilding background, Glenn.
Oh, well, thanks for having me on, first of all.
That was unsincere.
I know, like, literally, it could have been a bit more.
Oh yeah, fucking thanks, Scott. Yeah. I'd rather have stabbed my own eyes out with spoons, but here I am.
Don't know no guests.
Yeah, it's true.
I like that on number 13 anyway. Unlucky.
There's actually number 30. It's just Gary's
30.
very.
Oh, 30. Right.
Sorry, mate, my bad accent.
Lost in translation, that.
Yeah, definitely there'll be a few of that, won't there? So I started competing in '93. First year I ever competed. I did 4 shows, won them all. Won the UKBF, well, it was the IFBB back then, UKBFF equivalent, the British twos, and that was because back in the day they used to have the British Championships and the British Championships twos as well. So whereas now before obviously this split up and that with the UKBFF, you get your pro card by winning the overall Britain. And you have also at the British Championships, you'd have all the classes throughout the day. Well, where they do it now, they do like the Saturday and the Sunday, they split it back to how it used to be. But back then it was done a different time of the year. So they had the seniors and all these other classes at one point, and then the Britain used to be then later on in the year at Wembley back in the day. So I won the British under-80s and the overall British intermediate title in '93. 94 came fourth in the middleweight class. 95 I won it, and then I did a show. I did the light heavyweights in '98, 97, where I didn't place. But prior 5 weeks to that show, the night down I got killed. I was working the door and it kicked off, and I got stabbed in back of the head and broke. It just kicked off while I was in the middle of it. So it was like a bit of a bloodbath. And then I still competed 5 weeks afterwards, which I shouldn't have done because I had to be stitched inside and outside of the head. But it is what it is. 98, then I came 6th the year Grant Thomas won the light heavies. Most people had me 2nd, but it is what it is. And then 99, I come back, did the middleweights, won the middleweights and turned pro. And then from there, I competed, 2 weeks after that, I did the British Grand Prix, which was held in my hometown, funnily enough. And that was, I was on stage with Ronnie Coleman and who was it? Kevin Laverone. There's a big picture of us that my brother took. It's on the wall. There was Flex Wheeler, Nazarel somebody. So 2 weeks later, I was on stage basically in the Mr. Olympia lineup, the equivalent of it, So it was like a pig in shit for that day. And then from there, there was none of this, the under 202 class or the 212 as it used to be. It was every man for himself, irrespective of how tall you was or what you weighed, you know what I mean? And that's how it went. And then, so I competed throughout as a pro. The heaviest I ever competed at in the open class, as I say, I won the middleweights at 80 kilo. And the most I ever competed at was about 90, just under 93 kilo. And don't forget, I'm only 5'4", and that was at the Ironman in San Francisco in 2003. And that was the biggest. I was carrying a lot of weight. I mean, you forget how big you are now. I'm retired. Like when you look back and think, bloody hell. And then in 2009, I decided to then obviously go for the 202 class, where on my first attempt, I did the Tampa Bay Pro Show and the Dallas Show. And in the Tampa Bay Pro Show, I competed alongside Lee Powell. Me and him went out together with Neil Hill. He was there with us. And I came 2nd to David Henry, qualified for the Olympia, and did the Olympia 202 class, where I came 10th. And then the last show I ever did was the British Grand Prix in 2011, and came 2nd to the legendary Flex Lewis, who Neil brought him to see us back in, just the year before he started competing. Neil rang us up in his Welsh accent. I won't attempt that. I'll let you do that one. And he said, we've just got there. He said, you got to see this kid. He said, I'm telling you, he's the future. He brought him up, and as soon as he stood in front of him, it was just like, I looked at Neil and went, fucking hell's bells. And the shape was there. There was just that beautiful shape, beautiful lines, and just said, yeah, we're looking at something special here. So I knew then, that, what the future held for Flex. It was just a case of him just going for it, and, look at what he's achieved, and what a good ambassador for the sport he has been. So, yeah, I was very happy to come second. Oh, there, look at that handsome chap.
So I thought I'd bring this up for anyone watching who's quite a new fan of bodybuilding. Obviously, they probably wouldn't have seen the level of conditioning you used to bring to the stage.
Yeah, I mean, that was that one there. That was the first year I ever competed. If you went back to that one there, and from day dot, I knew how I had to get on stage. There was none of this. I never used the excuse of, "Oh, this is my first show." I wanted to make a statement, and I wanted, when I hit that stage, to go. I wanted people to go, "Fucking hell, who is this kid?"
That was your first ever show?
That was my first year I competed. That was the day after my very last show.
That's fucking nuts.
I was, and what people don't understand is, that back then I was squatting. And I was, don't forget, I competed at around about that year, about 76 kilo, and I was squatting like 5.5 plates for reps. Back in like my final set. I mean, my leg workouts were horrendous in the early years, and that's how I built. I was known for my legs, and obviously I got a bit of a big backside from it as well. So, it's a good job I could get my ass in shape.
Yeah. Wouldn't have been any use having big glutes if they weren't shredded, would it?
Well, that's it. It's easy to have a big fat ass, but So, yeah, that's a rundown briefly of what I've done. So, amateur from 93 to 99, turned pro, and then from there all the way through to 2011. And I didn't know I was going to retire, to be honest with you, after my last show, but it was one of them type of deal, because everyone was saying, "Oh, you got to the Olympia again, it's the best you've ever looked." I actually started my diet at 203 pounds and walked on stage at 202 pounds 11 weeks later. I actually grew into the show because
You actually did it, rather than the people that say they do it.
Yeah, I mean, I knew, the thing is, right, Sean Tavernier at the time was coming in because it was at the gym I used to own, which was Evolution Gym in Rochdale. And Sean Tavernier was coming in at the time, and he was carrying some weight. And, Sean is an exceptional bodybuilder, packs on a lot of muscle, very pleasing to look at. And I remember seeing him, and he's waddling around, and I use the term waddle because when you're only like, I'm 5'4", he's about 5'2", and he was carrying about nearly 17 stone or something like that. So it weren't a walk, it was more of a waddle, I would say he used to do, you know what I mean? And people would be like, and they're looking at me because I'm like 14.5 stone. And then they're looking at him and going, "You're competing against that?" I said, yeah. And they just went, "Fuck it." I said, "I know what you're thinking." I said, "Look, I'm clean. I'm not using anything. I always took big breaks out, none of this cruising and all bridging shite that a lot of people tend to do today." And I said, "Look, when the hammer hits the floor, you're going to see things get real." And so then when I started my prep, I introduced a little bit of gear. I was not a big, massive user of gear, and we can go into detail with that if you want. And then within 2 weeks, I started cardio where I was doing 2 sessions a day, kept my food high, introduced a bit of gear, and then my body weight went up from 203 to 212, and then slowly but surely it came back down. And then I walked up on stage, and that was the condition you saw me in at the end of it.
So you must have been in relatively good condition all year round then?
I wasn't contest condition, but I was relatively lean. Yeah, I never had excessive rolls of fat. Don't get me wrong. In the early years, there's some cracking pictures of me with a fucking head like a beach ball, carrying some fat. In the early years, I remember having the old Infinity 1700, which had, you know what I mean, and you made it with full fat milk, and you was consuming 2,000 calories in a drink. And at the time, you're thinking, "Fucking hell, look back, how did I not become a diabetic?"
Just slammed with sugar, weren't they?
Oh, weren't they just? But hey ho, that was the early years. And, over the years, I learnt my trade. I then I went and seen Kerry Case for a bit of advice from my first show, who imparted some real basic good knowledge. And from there, I learned how to get the job done properly. But I'm not one of, as you probably know, I'm one of these guys, the PT guru issue does my fucking head in within the industry. I'm sorry, but we're going to cover all this. I'm sure you're going to throw me all these questions. But yeah, so that's really the rundown. I've been on stage with every single one of the top guys. I'm very proud to say, you know, a kid who was a teenager in his bedroom. You know, I lived with my mum and my brother. We didn't have much to our name. And I always remember being that kid looking at the magazines and thinking, wow. The way all that came about was one of the most prominent memories I have was when we used to hang around on street corners, drinking bottles of cider as we do when you're young, looking at the Rambo poster, and it was the Rambo 2. And I'm just stood there looking at it. And he's got, you know, he's holding the LMG and got the bandana on, and he's absolutely ripped to bugger. And I'm thinking, fucking hell, how do you look like that? And I got my mate behind me, Roy Thickett, going, oh, Rambo, I love you. I want to bum you. Oh, and I would just sit around and I just went, fuck off, Roy. And he just said, look at that. How does anybody get to look like that? And I'll never, ever forget that moment. And I think the real catalyst was obviously reading the magazines, but seeing that of Sylvester Stallone. Obviously, there were other films, but that will always, always be one of the areas where I think subconsciously, that's when the penny dropped. I wanted to look like that.
What did you do from there? Did you like the next day, like go and get a gym membership, or
no?
How long did it take for that to like come into action?
Well, I was 14, and there was a gym down from where I was living with when I was, you know, lived around the corner where my mum lives now. And it was just an old spit and sawdust gym. You just go in and you pay £2 or £3 to get in. And it was attached to a council swimming baths at the time. It was just proper grungy, but you walked in and it was like, fucking hellfire. And all the guys are shifting weight. It's quite ironic because I've got some good stories, the way it all unfolds. And this, hence why the DVD I did bring out was called Believe to Achieve as well. So, you know, at 14, I just simply got that little bit of bug. A bit like when people used to watch the Kung Fu movies with Bruce Lee. Everyone then would go to the karate club, or you'd see Ali and you go to a boxing club. And so, yeah, I went there, started training, but it never lasted because by the time when I left school, got my first job, you were going out at weekends on the piss 3 or 4 days. It wasn't straight off the bat that I went wham. I then joined the Royal Air Force, and it was whilst I was out there stationed in Germany. I used to train on and off, train with weights, but not with any clear direction. I wanted to be a bodybuilder, you know, at that time. It was always, because I used to have, when I was in the Air Force, I used to have a big poster of Frank Bruno behind my back, and he was another guy who played a prominent role on me because he was in great shape, that, you know, that good, heavy, muscular, athletic look as well. And so it was always there, but I used to say to, when I was in the Air Force, I used to say to friends, I want to be a bodybuilder, I want to be a bodybuilder, but I never really got a grip of it straight away and went with it. And it's when I left the Royal Air Force, I then got in direct sales. I went and lived in Spain for a year in 1991, and that's when I was training in a gym called Nuevo Estilo, and I met a guy called Paco Muller, who at the time was like Spanish lightweight champion. He was only about 5 foot, 5'1", but packed up a lot of muscle. And so I started training seriously from there then, and that was in 1991. I came back in 1992, so I was there for a year. And then I just started training intently with being, like I said, I know I'm going to compete. And then in 93, I competed and won the British Intermediate, British 2s in the first year. So from when I actually really took it seriously, it was literally 18 months later I won the British 2s. But I trained like a madman. I trained like my life depended on it. And I started with the intention, I'm not fucking about. This is what I want to do.
So I've got quite a few questions for you. First one comes from somebody you've already mentioned. Comes from Mr. Powell.
Yeah.
It says, what's your opinion on Jordan Peters?
Jordan Peters is an amazing businessman. I think he's took advantage of the current situation of bodybuilding. And do you know what? I don't even know what he's like to speak to us as an individual. And he may be a genuinely nice guy. And I know, like, sort of a lot of the guys who are in his corner, you know, Cuba and stuff like that. What I get annoyed at is the amount that, I suppose in a way it's like, people could say, oh, are you bitter in the fact that he's earning lots of money and he's doing all this YouTube, this, that, and the other? I said, not really, because I'm one of these people that say, there's only so much you can fucking say to do. I'm simply, I've been there, done it. I'm in the trenches. I've advised probably more people than people realise, because way back in the day, when I was working for CMP, I was manning technical outline. I was doing all the literature for the booklets, writing out all the stuff, answering emails, did seminars with Dorian. I've been out there in the thick of it and in the trenches and delivered the goods probably better than most will ever do over a 20-year period.
I want to just touch on the helpline, because people, that's going to have escaped people. And I'm trying to explain what the CMP helpline was to people, because there was no YouTube or any of this shit.
Well, this was way before any of the internet existed. You know what I mean?
Because Amph talks about the helpline, because he used to fucking badger you like all the time.
He did, Amph Bales. I mean, the amount of people I've helped, and I mean, top, you know, bloody good bodybuilders from, you know, like the top amateur, top drug-free bodybuilders, all the way through to people who were clean and natural to non-natural. I can't even begin. I mean, I helped Lee Powell when he got his pro card. Do you know what I mean? And me and Lee have had this conversation, reference to Jordan Peters and stuff like that. And we shake our heads in disbelief, because with the greatest respect, this is a gentleman that's never, ever delivered the fucking goods on stage. And I'm not being disrespectful to Jordan. I'm just saying it as it is. This is fact, right? I've seen him at the stage. And with the greatest respect, as a bodybuilder, you know, I like to think that you want to be able to look, you turn up and you look fit and healthy as well, or you look, you know, as though you're not about a keel over. And I think, unfortunately, Jordan, when you look at the pictures of him and his missus from when they first started, they were an absolutely good-looking, young, healthy-looking couple. And then someone said to you, have you seen this? And, you know, you look at them today and you go, it's a far cry from where they were. And each to their own. You know, if you know, you choose your path, you make your own. But
what about playing devil's advocate then? So there's plenty of really good coaches out there that have never competed. So obviously, like, whilst Jordan is competing, so it's easy to judge because he hasn't produced, whether that's a genetic limitation or whether
it's a genetic limitation. I just think it's a case of not adhering to the basic principles of bodybuilding. And in the early years, Jordan was a big advocate of excessive usage of gear, and he admits that. And I'm sorry, but how many people have took that advice literally, and how many people have suffered at the hands of that bad advice? That's where I have a problem. And this is what has been the problem throughout the industry. People listening to the wrong people. People thinking that we as pros, if I was to say what I did, people go, oh, he's lying. What have I've got no fucking reason to lie. The same way as when Dorian came out in the muscular development and said what he used, and people were coming on saying he's lying, he's lying. Why the hell would I lie? I have it's no vested interest. One thing I can guarantee you is I'll speak the truth, and I won't give a fuck whether you like it or not, right? The truth is the truth. I've got my diaries upstairs. I could bring it down. I could just go like that and say, look, there you go. That's on that page. And you can see what I took. The problem is today is that people are looking for this secret. Most people who want to get or look at to try and get into bodybuilding, they've got to be realistic with themselves. Have you got what it takes? Because one thing that bodybuilding will find out, if you do it properly, it'll find out exactly what you are or not made of, what you are or are not made of. It will find you out. It's as simple as that. So again, you know, when you people subscribe to these, like with Jordan and other places, and they're paying 5, 6, 7, 8 quid a month. Listen, the guy's nailed it. Fair play to him as a businessman. It's great, but how much can you keep fucking saying? You get in
Yeah,
the
no,
gym.
I get what you're saying, because it kind of dilutes coming away from the basics of hard work.
I mean, I want to like, I have spoken to Jordan lots, and I consider him a friend, and he is actually a nice guy.
I believe he is. I honestly believe he is.
And Corinne as well, and so I'm not gonna like go for him. This advice is not a Jordan thing. It's that, but Jordan is the god of the industry at the moment. So I don't think it's a Jordan thing. Like the people's like perceptions and the instant like gratification we have of like today's like youth and people. Even when I get messages, people are like, "Oh, I'm going to start training. What gear do I need to do?" And it's like, but you haven't started training. Like, so I think it's not. Yeah, it's not. Obviously, we're talking about Jordan because he's like out there and stuff like that, and he's smashed it. He's making more money than any of the fucking body.
Of course he is. He's made more money than any of us I know that have competed, and that and that is fair play to him from a business acumen point of view. And I believe now he has changed his tune with regards to how he used to advocate gear usage from the early years, which is a good job, really. Because it wasn't the best advice.
But the thing about the regurgitation of information is like, I had a Flex magazine subscription for like a decade or something, and to be fair, it was the same shit every week, wasn't it? Like, let's be honest. Like,
I don't know how did these magazines keep pouring stuff?
I know. So it's just like an online version of that. I mean. And most of it's semantics. We've spoken about this before. Like, we have the back off set. Now, we used to do the back off set. We'd call it a flush set.
Flush set. That's what it used to be called back in the day.
Yeah. So we had all the stuff. So it's really just relabeling it for the masses. And that's where they managed to make that into a business. I think it's fucking genius from a business perspective.
Look, Hanny Ramboyd, FST7. Fuck off.
Yeah, I did like the idea that I'm pretty sure muscle fascia has like pound for pound is stronger than steel. So the idea that I could go and
will stretch when you train anyway.
Yeah.
Just because you're gonna fucking hit a higher rep range and pump it out, it stretches it even more.
Yeah, but Phil Heath, who clearly doesn't have any fascia, he must just like literally must have tracing paper.
Just attach yourself to someone who's genetically gifted and everyone will fucking buy into your bollocks.
Well, yeah.
That's how
Dan, what was it called? A flush set?
It used to just be called a flush set.
I'm gonna bring it back.
Mate, bring the flush set back.
It back.
And then as well, the new thing as well, that's cluster sets, that was just German volume training. That was the stuff's all the same. I mean, the thing of the bodybuilding is that basically it's hard. And if it's hard, something will happen. That's the basis of bodybuilding. But you can't make it fucking easy. It needs to be hard. It needs to be.
But it's like you say, the old adage is, if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you.
Yes.
You know, my philosophy was like Anth Bales, like us, like Dorian, is you trained as though your life depended on it. That's it. This is what training is. Training is about creating a stimulus to cause growth. Yeah? And so if you train and say on your working set, you worked within a rep range of anything from 6, and some might go up to 12. Let's go in between there. But you train with good form. Don't let the form slip, with as heavy a weight as possible to complete an utter brutal failure. How can you not send the message? How can that message not have been sent? And what you do find is that a lot of people cannot physically and more so mentally go into that deep, dark place that they need to when it comes to training. I'm sorry, but if people say to me, the way that Dorian, train won't work for them, bollocks. It's because you can't fucking do it.
Yeah,
that's a fact. That's a fact. And I'll challenge any one of them out there. I'll put 100 quid. I'll put £1,000 fucking pound on the table. You do that. I've had people come to me and train, and when they've trained with me afterwards, they've gone, fucking hell, I honestly thought I trained hard, but this is on another different level.
Yeah, but people, that's the thing, is that like, if you want it, you'll go and search that. You'll go and find that out on purpose. You'll go and, like, when I was starting, I'd go and train with anyone. I trained with Dorian, and I trained with anyone who said they could fuck me up, because I wanted to see where the levels are.
was.
Yeah, like, to realign where my mind's at. Oh, hang on. Turns out, if Dorian, who's my hero, says one more, guess what? I've got fucking one more, and probably another 4 after that when he shouts at me. So actually, I did have that. It did exist, but people now generally want to shy away from that because they don't want to be exposed. Whereas I was looking to be exposed. That's how I got into HIIT training and that sort of thing. I find it the most enjoyable. I want to fuck myself up. It gets me away from all this bullshit in this world. Like,
exactly. And like I said, it will find out exactly what you're made of. You know, a lot of people go through all this pumpy type workouts, and they see certain pros who are genetically gifted doing stuff like that. They'll look at various bodybuilders whose form's fucking shocking. God, we only have to name one particular Mr. Olympia. Strong as an ox, form was fucking horrible, but built like a brick shithouse, but strong. And so people think they'll get away with that. Not many can, but that gentleman's now suffering, you know, and had 12, 13 operations.
I think his spine is just one, like, rod now.
No, and I was with Ronnie Coleman in Rome back in 2002, 2003. There was a group of us. There was Jay Cutler, there was me, Marcus Rule, Ronnie Coleman. And
Fuck standing next to Marcus Rule ever.
I've been on stage with him a few times. You know, he's a pro. You know, me and Marcus got him really well. He's sound. He's really good.
Here's a question for you. If you could change your training and you could get exactly the same results, but you had the genetics to just pump shit around,
no, I wouldn't do it.
Would you take it?
No, not a fucking chance.
Yeah, I mean,
I love to be in that, because it wasn't just about challenging oneself physically, it was also mentally. I wanted to know I could push myself through fucking the gates of hell.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I like. Like, if I could, like, someone could go, oh, you can get everything you are and you just do some pumps, like, it would sap all the joy out of it for me. Like, the training's what I fucking love doing. I like beating myself up, and sometimes my recovery suffers, and it you know, maybe it's not helped me out all the time training like that, which is why I have to have periods of time backing off.
You have to periodize. That's why my training was, when I used to take my gear courses, they were designed in such a way that I would be held for leather for 5 or 6 weeks. Then when I came off, I was off, and then I would carry on whilst I was doing the PCT, the HCG and that. And then I would take about the 8th or 9th, around about the 8th or 9th week from when I was on, come off, and about 8 or 9 weeks later, I would have a week off training. Let my body completely rest up.
So typically, how long were your cycles then?
6 weeks.
That's it?
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that was a fast-acting sort of ester then?
No. It was a long-acting ester for the first 2 to 3 weeks. And then I would then go on to the fast acting at the end for 2 or 3 weeks. So because I will also say I learned this from Brian Batchelor, who is probably one of the most unsung heroes in bodybuilding. And to give you an example of this, just to quickly go over this, I was with Brian Batchelor, used to be the research and development guy for CMP. And a lot of people don't know who Brian Batchelor is, probably in the modern world. This guy I'll put up against any fucker on the planet when it comes to nutrition and performance enhancing agents. Right, the guy is just another level. He really is. And we used to discuss and talk as friends on these issues. And we were in Columbus, Ohio, at the Arnold, and we got in this limousine to go somewhere. And what's he called? Chris. Oh, what's he called? The guru.
Aceto.
Chris Aceto, that's the one. He gets into the limo, and he turns on and goes, "Oh, Brian, just a man, I need to ask you some questions." And I just pissed myself laughing, thinking, you know what I mean? But Chris Aceto's a clever guy. He knows his stuff, you know what I mean? And he used to get in shape. But it was just ironic that, you know, everybody who knew, you know, their beings, that Brian was the man to go to. So it's Brian who imparted, you know, like a bit of knowledge on that front for me, even though, you know, I wasn't stupid by any means, and we used to chat over things. And so I took it on board, what was said. So a typical course, to give you an example, would be the first 2-3 weeks would be, I'd have 500 milligrams of testosterone, whether it be an enanthate or cypionate. Anything around about 300 to 400 milligrams of DECA. And then it would be 20 milligrams, 30 milligrams of D-bol a day. Now that would go up for 3 weeks, say. Then I would start propionate. I would stop all that. Then I would start propionate, say Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 100 milligrams with, say, either Winstrol or something of that nature. That would be something like 50 to 100 milligrams every other day, you know, like, or 3 times a week, should I say. And then by the time the end of week 6 came about, I would then start the HCG, which would be 1500 IU Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I'd do that for 2 weeks. Then I would come off, and that would
on the lead into a contest.
Going into a contest, it would be a similar format, but an extended version. So I'd usually start my contest prep. You'd be about 12 weeks out.
So you do shorter cycles when you weren't competing, and then like a 12-week cycle just pre-contest.
Yeah, as soon as I started my contest prep, that's what I would do. I'd go into that. So it was nothing flash or fancy. You know, at the end of the day, how much do you need? As Brian used to say, you don't use a sledgehammer to crack open a walnut.
No.
The idea was to get the basics in place first, and this is what I'm always try and impart on people. What I say, you know, look, today most people are trying to put the cart before the horse. They're thinking about, what drugs do we need to do? What do we need to do? Say, fucking hell, if you train properly and a fucking decent meal you grow you know what I mean, with a lot of these people. So if people bother to train properly and eat right, get the basics in place first, then you add, you know, the gear issue onto that. But how many people truly are nailing their training and nutrition and are being consistent? The one word that summarizes this game is consistency. As anything, that if you're going to be successful in anything in life, is consistency.
Yeah. I think the problem you've got these days, though, is you've got the social media era. So people have got so much pressure on to look good at all times. That conservative sort of approach that you would have employed back then is probably not even existent anymore.
Is it conservative, or is it the fact that there are too many people imparting bad knowledge and people are the blind leading the blind?
No, there is that. But I mean, let's say from say a top level British bodybuilder's perspective, who's got a very good income coming from a social media presence, it doesn't pay for them to not be looking good.
No, but that's down to them to explain what is required.
No, I agree. I'm just playing devil's advocate, you.
Yeah, and it's a fair point. But forget about looks. It's about, if you're on social media, you then can impart knowledge, and you have the ability to explain the current state of affairs and your progress that you're going through. And I think that's that's important.
But it's consumer driven. Like they're giving people what they want. Now, you know, Usain Bolt, you know, runs 100 meters. You know, he does it in seconds. It's over in seconds. No one wants to hear about all the fucking 8-mile jogs he did, all the, you know, the squats he did, all of like the power training that he did. Like no one wants to know any of that shit. It's like the stage stuff. People want to see someone on stage. It's like that. I need that thing. So they see the Instagram, they see the stage. It looks all glitzy and glamour, where we all know really a show is basically lying on a bin bag backstage for like 6 hours. Like there's no fucking glitz anyway. Do you know what I mean? They see that it doesn't sell.
So that's what I mean. This is exactly it. Simplicity does not sell. Everybody wants something that's sexed up to the eyeballs. We live in a world where truth is far removed from the equation on so many facets of society.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just stick to bodybuilding on that
There's
one.
no kind of worms there.
Yeah, let's.
Oh yeah, but it's true. You know what I mean? And that's the problem. Is you know, simplicity doesn't sell, and everybody's trying to make up. There's too much bullshit going on. Get it back to the basics. I've had this argument with a number of bodybuilders. You go, oh, people go, well, the basics, the basics. And I'm going, oh, for fuck's sake. You know
Well, I
what
think it's especially like you said about the cart before the horse. I think the basic, like, especially important when you're starting. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't have anything against using bands and all this sort of stuff. If you're at a level where you can actually, like, where you actually can utilize that sort of stuff. But if you're just starting out, you're doing one plate aside on a leg press, and you're like reverse banding. You don't need, just get strong.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's all right. All these bands, we didn't have fucking rubber bands back in the day.
No, but I mean, I'm not against them. I get them, like the strength curve, like it makes sense. I can take like an advancement on like a scientific approach. I can take that. But for a beginner, you don't need to start putting these variables in. You don't need to, you know what I mean? Like if you're just starting and you see all this bombardment of like advanced bodybuilders doing like, you know, like Ben Pekulski doing like mad like stuff but like, no, just lift some shit for a bit. And then when you start hitting some plateaus and some walls and start to feel like you might actually want, you know, you've got some muscle or like you might not be a fucking pussy, then you can think about like, you know.
The key thing there,
what I didn't in 20 years of my fucking career.
Yeah, no, but
well,
the key thing there is that I think what people don't understand is what Dan classes as a beginner or being new to it is a couple of years. We're not talking somebody who's just started in the gym.
Mm.
And
yeah, I mean, you need to put you know, people are like, yeah, I'm going to do a show. It's like, you haven't started training. And they're like, yeah.
I've come across that so many times, you know, where people, and you're going, what mirror are you looking in? You know what I mean? And not only that, it's when you see certain people then hit the stage and you're going, who's actually told you should be on stage? Come on. Seriously.
I think it is bad, but it's like X Factor, isn't it? Who let someone, surely don't you have a family or a friend that said, by the way, you've got no skill. You shouldn't go on X Factor. You should just stay at home forever.
Yeah.
Like, but
is that why you keep telling me to do X Factor, Dan?
Yeah.
Want to make it let you look as smart.
We can put on a podcast.
But yeah, I know you do see some people, and you think, you know, I'm all up for, you know, there are shows for like transformations and all that and stuff. And if you've lost loads of weight and you've made transformation and health, like, mate, I'm on your side. I love you. Do your thing or whatever. But like, please don't bring it to a bodybuilding show.
The thing is, you know, this is the problem. But back in the day, you had to hit the stage knowing you were in a real bodybuilding contest. This isn't about look at how well I've done individually. This is a contest.
So you never competed just to, you know, make yourself feel better like a lot of these people do. Like they'll compete and they'll go, but I was proud of myself.
No, I went up there, as I said, from the word go to make people realize this fucking guy means business.
Yeah, no, I get that. There's just a lot of people who are, there's too many people who are prepared to just be the also ran horse, you know?
Yeah, because they're seeking fucking attention.
Yeah.
But they
want validation, don't they?
Now they can coach now because they've done one show.
That's the point. This is exactly
I love that.
This is what's going on.
This is where it's escalating.
There are people that just compete to then say they can be a coach afterwards.
The problem is these people are making fucking money, and people are listening to these dimwits.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That, and I'm going, you know, this is why I went, look, to go back to the Jordan Peters issue, and this is why me and Lee, because Lee, in all fairness, Lee Powell did turn on. We had a conversation, and when Jordan trained with him, Lee told me he was on his ass. And Lee turned down and said to Jordan, if you want to be a good bodybuilder, you need to lose a lot of weight and a lot of muscle because your shape's out of whack, right? So we told him straight. So we spoke about these issues, about what's being said, and obviously that era. I'm more than happy to go on. I'd go, look, let's have it out. Let's go on stage. Let's do it face to face. I ain't gonna fucking change, but I can write on an A4 sheet of fucking paper back to back, all you need to do to be a successful bodybuilder. And if you can't, if you follow that and you're not gonna, and you can't improve, you'll certainly be the best version you can be. It doesn't mean I can guarantee you're going to be the world beater. And this is what people are looking to. They're looking to these gurus or these people, and you're going to make me because I want to be number one. No, you can only be the best version of that of what you're capable of doing, providing you do what is asked of you.
Did you use cream of rice though?
When I went to America, actually, I tried it.
Yeah.
I did try it, but fuck me. When you're talking from food point of view, carbohydrate sources came from, and still do. I still eat clean now and good stuff. It's Uncle Ben's whole grain rice, or if you want basmati rice, feel free, or white rice, I don't care. Potato, oats, you know, pasta if you like it. I hardly eat pasta, but that's basically what my carbs come from. You know, it's nothing like
not Pop-Tarts.
Johnny, I'm fucking watching you. Just waiting for your mouth to open. I'm fucking watching you.
Yeah,
I'm watching your mouth quiver. I'm watching it.
and you get a lot of people paying these coaches because they're gonna fucking tell them you can have muffins and Pop-Tarts. Well, fair enough, crack on, you know what I mean? But the problem is that these people are making the money, and people, you know, people don't really need to have the handheld 24/7.
Well, so that's the thing is that they do.
Yeah.
A lot of people do.
No, my point is we've created a situation where people can't be bothered to learn the basics and run with it. They want to take no, and what it boils down to, and this is typical of society now in today's generation, and it's been like this, been growing more and more. It's the fucking blame game, blame culture. They don't want to take responsibility for their own actions. They want to be able to say, well, he told me to do this. Yeah. That's why I don't look like that. Listen, if I help people, I can try and and I have done, but I don't know what they're fucking doing when I'm not around. I've even had people say to me, oh, X about, didn't he train like you helping him? He's not training like you train.
Yeah, I mean, the only person that can get you somewhere, the only person that can get you somewhere is fucking you.
Of course it is.
That's something I've experienced recently, though, Dan, I think, is like I had a guy who I was looking after, was giving him a certain amount of calories based on him training in a similar way to that I do. And those calories were just getting backed up because he just wasn't putting the effort in.
No. And
yeah, there are loads of different methodologies, like lots of them work because it's actually not that hard. But the thing is that people think that they can substitute like hard work with getting a coach that's gonna no, you can't dissolve being a pussy. If you're a fucking pussy, it doesn't matter who your coach is, you're still a pussy. And you're never gonna fucking get anywhere.
That's it. I mean, I've trained with, look, I'm 52 now, right? And I'm natural. And I had one or two people over the years, and these are people who've been using gear. And I'm thinking, are you for fucking real? I've watched them train and I've seen them struggle with 2 fucking plates aside squatting. And it's like, fuck me, I used to warm up with that. You know what I mean? And I could not believe what I was seeing. And I've seen it so many times and I'm going, fucking hell, is this what it's come down to? Give you an example. One of the people that I used to work with, Scott Gledell at CMP, he's got his own gym. And when I used to go and see him, and he'd always say, John, is it me? These fucking people today, I see it in my gym. He said, oh, they don't train like we used to. You just don't see people train as though their life depends on it.
It's a shocking statistic. Like if you walk into most gyms, if you were to ask just a regular member of the public to point out the people who are on steroids, they would get it drastically wrong. It would be a massive increase on what they thought.
Oh, I mean, I've seen people, even still now, and they say, oh, he's on gear. And I'm fucking crying with laughter going, fucking hellfire. He's just started training. It's like, are you kidding me? And this is the problem you're faced with. It's like, it's that.
Well, I think actually,
violent fucking, look in it. And everyone thinks that, you know, the washboard abs and a bit of fucking chest, and people are taking gear. And the worst thing is A, they don't train hard. And when you hear what they're eating, it's like, fucking hell, if you bother to eat 6 proper good meals, you'll grow. These cunts are taking gear and they're eating 2 or 3 meals a day. And that, even then, that's shit. It's an embarrassment.
Shouting your head off on 2 plates.
I mean, but like the thing is, with the information that everyone has like now, people should be able to stay natural longer.
Well,
like rather than the other way around, you have all the information, like way more information that was available. Like when I started and stuff, you know, like I knew like one person or something. Like it's all there.
Well, there's too much information, Dan.
Yeah, I mean that is true. I said this before. Like when you go on Netflix, you never watch a film because you can never fucking choose one. I liked it when you used to go to Blockbuster and some movie, and it didn't matter if it was shit because you were fucking watching it.
Yeah, it's true. But you go on the TV now and you're flicking through channel after channel after channel to see what's on. It's just this. It's just it's mind blowing.
Yeah, it's true. It's gone the other way, hasn't it? It's too much.
Well, this is why I'm trying to get back. It's always strip it back to basics. Look what Dorian did with Chris Cormier. Get back to basics, Chris.
So
outside the gym.
Let's jump on a couple more questions because we've been on for an hour and only answered 1 or 2. Do you guys want to chuck a few in?
Yeah, go for it.
Obviously, you were known as Mr. Condition, and even in your first show, your condition was outstanding. What was there anything in your life previously? Did you play any sports? Did you have a bit of like a tough upbringing, or that was the reason why you were able to sort of suck it up for your first show? Because quite often you find people are getting conditioned for their first show that maybe they were quite a decent sportsman before and they just knew what hard work was. Was there anything like growing up that sort of prepared you for that?
Well, there was this uncle of mine that used to. No, I'm joking.
That's a subject for Dan. Leave him alone.
No, not really. I mean, it was. I always used to play. I was very keen sports enthusiast anyway. Played football for Manchester Schoolboys. Was tennis champion of the school. Played badminton for Manchester Schoolboys at an early age. I got thrown when I was in the Air Force. I was playing for the station side, and they threw me into the rugby team. I didn't even know what to do. They just said, when you get the ball, John, just run. And if you haven't got the ball, just tackle someone. And I remember the first rugby game I played, and I come off the pitch, and we got battered, but the other sides were in, oh, you play brilliant. I'm going, I haven't got a fucking clue what I'm doing out there. Anyway. So I was always competitive. And I always liked to, sport always was a passion of mine. I used to love playing various sports. So for me, I suppose if you're going to do something, do it properly. And it was just what it was with bodybuilding was when it finally clicked, I realised that I wanted to take this seriously. And when I first went and seen Kerry, I saw Ian Atkinson, who was at the time the 80 kilo champion, and I saw him in condition. And I was always told condition by Kerry, and I saw Ian Atkinson, it was like he was peeled. So I was under no illusion. I knew what was required. And I wanted to be the best I could be. I knew what I had to look like. And I suppose it was just something that was inbuilt. I was prepared to push. And I thought, I don't know. I mean, it's one of them, like, I've got to give this absolutely everything. And it literally was, if in the process of doing it, I'll die. And it simply was that's how it was. I knew what real condition looked like. You see a lot of people today and they'll hit that most muscular front pose. And it's like, well, when we used to see all the athletes back in the years with Kerry and that, we used to see all the athletes come and see us. Everyone would do that. We'd just say, turn around, let's have a look at your lower back and your ass and your hamstring. No, you're fat as fuck, carry on. So it was like, I knew straight away, that's how I had to look. And I just had to keep pushing. And I was my own worst critic because I remember on one occasion when I was getting ready for a show, Kerry took me up to see the crew at Gym 21, Billy Jones and that in Liverpool. And he said, strip off and have a look. And he said, show us what do you think? And Billy's like, ah, fucking hell. So I'm just holding this bit of skin. I'm going, oh, but look at this. And they all looked at each other and went, he's not fucking right, this, is he? Not right, this one. Went, John, it's skin. You got to have skin so that your fucking body holds together. But that's how I was wired. I wanted to be just so fucking sliced and diced and ripped. I don't know. There was nothing that really that I could say genuinely prepared me for that. And I will say this, if you actually do bodybuilding properly and take it to that nth degree, you will never, ever be challenged as much in your life. You just won't. I mean, there were times where I wanted to sit in the corner and rock in a ball and cry. That's how painful it got. And then when I got to that point, I'd smile and go, fucking yes, bring it on.
Yeah.
Do you think
that's it? It's either fuel or not.
Do you think now that, I don't like comparing like previous years to now, but do you think that one of the reasons why people aren't talking as much about condition these days is because people aren't willing to do that and they want sort of a bit of an easier route again?
It would appear that way. I mean, it's really hard sometimes because I've been critical of condition of the athletes at times over the years at the highest levels. But sometimes you'll see some footage and you think, well, they're actually in better condition than I realised. And then there are photographs and video footage which doesn't portray them in the same light. So the thing is, to get a real true reflection of what's in front of you is you have to be there. You have to see them right in front of you. But I think it's fair to say that, I mean, give you an example. When I did the 2009 Tampa Bay Pro Show, when I came second to David Henry. And I remember turning up with Lee Powell and Neil was there, and obviously we went in. And when he undressed, in all fairness, they all turned down and looked at me and I seen on the face and they all went, and I think it was Don Long or Jeff Long, he went, fuck me. And he was like, what the fuck have you been taking? What diuretic are you using? I went, oh, fucking cheers for that. You know what I mean? Not about the fact that I've fucking got every ounce of fat off me. Yes, I might have used a mild diuretic just to give me the edge, but fucking hell, you know, it was, you know, you bring it right down. So it was a nice compliment because a lot of the guys in America said, when we saw your name on the sheet, we said, oh, this is that kid from the UK. This guy gets in condition. And I remember when I did the Ironman in 2003 and flew out all the way there and I didn't place in the top 10. And I felt I wasn't in my best shape because I was about 14:10. But everyone was saying, and when I came off the stage, saying, "Oh, you're in the best shape of the show," and I'm thinking, "Fucking hell, I could lose another 5 or 6 pounds, really." Do you know what I mean? And at the time when I was backstage, I was sat there, and Aaron Baker came up to us. It was really funny because he was like one of my heroes. You know, you look at Aaron Baker's physique, and it's amazing. And I didn't know. I'm sure he's gay. And he came up to me and he went, "It's Jan, isn't it?" I went, "Yeah." He went, "Oh, you look fabulous." He said, "How do you get so hard?" And I'm like, but he was genuinely being nice. He was genuinely being nice. And that was one of the moments that will stick with me. You know, like one of the guys I used to look up to in the magazines coming up to me and really give me such praise. And
he was hitting on you, really.
Hey,
he was hitting on you, really.
He was the one. He was the one getting hard.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. You know what I mean.
But mate, we shouldn't knock it. Bodybuilding shows, men in pants. You're gonna have people that are gay turning up to that.
That reminds me, right? The first ever body power.
You must have had the offers.
No,
oh mate, I've had some fucking weird.
The first ever body power I went to, right? I was with Joe Binley because I was sponsored by Anabolic Designs at the time.
Oh yeah. And
there was a guy who came up and was like, "Can I have a photo with you?" I was like, "Well, I don't know why he wants a photo with me. I'm a bit of a nobody at the time. Like, well, I still am really." But he had a photo, so we were like doing the whole holding hand thing, taking a photo, and then Joe whispered in my ear, he went, "John, he's gonna wank over that later." I was like, and took the photo. I was like,
I think there's been many a wank had over my pictures, mate.
Yeah.
Mate, I'm more than happy to be of service.
John, do you think, obviously with competing and stuff now, do you think the judging side of things now has improved over the years? As far as like, you know, picking the winner and.
What do you mean at the Olympia level, pro show level, or in general?
Generally, yeah, throughout the all really, yeah, amateur shows, Olympia level shows, pro shows, everything.
How long do you think we fucking have, Garen?
No, to be honest, I can answer it dead simply. I mean, I don't really take much. I don't much notice. I don't go to any of the, you know, to the shows. I was commentating on some of them. You know, I've seen firsthand.
You commentated on my show, the British,
and mine. And
2018. I think
he missed me in the lineup. It was my call out. He spoke about everyone on the call up except me.
What's the old saying?
I was on the second and last call out. And
right, what's the old saying?
You skipped me. I was like, oh fuck.
You've not got anything good to say. No. I remember, funny enough, I went to the 80s reunion just quickly, which Kimberly Ann Jones said. And these girls said, oh, chatting to you, said, you look familiar. And I just said, oh, yeah. I said, yeah, I compete. And I did the Napa. And he went, oh, that was it. We had a friend in that. And you didn't really say much when she come on, other than you said, got nice hair. Fucking hell, I'm like thinking, well, you know, I could have said something else, but that's all I could say at the time. But I thought, I'm not going to be too cruel. But no, it's like with the judging, a lot of people, you hear them complaining and moaning and people saying, oh, you should have been this, you should have been that. And sometimes those closest to you, or those who are supposed to be close to you, are not always going to be the right people to be asking. You know, you got to be brutally honest with yourself. And I think sometimes you can be caught up in the moment and think you are done to, and then you've got to have time to reflect, look back, and then at least, you know, make an honest assessment. And I've done that in the past with myself and gone, could have been a bit better there.
I mean, I try and just like, I don't, if I've lost or whatever, like, I allow myself to be pissed off because like coming second or whatever sucks dick. But like, try and not think about it until like you're emotionally like away. And then I can usually go like, well, I can see an angle where I lost that, or like, there's usually like a thing, you know, but it is subjective. So the plan is always to be like undeniable.
Yes.
Where like they just have to, even if they don't like it, they have to.
And that's why Dorian's attitude was, there's no way they're not going to deny me. And if you look at the current Olympia, I didn't see, like with the current Olympia, I mean, I haven't seen the proper out and out footage. So I've seen various pictures. So I can't give a true assessment of how the Olympia should have panned out in my eyes.
No, I mean, we covered it last week, but you know, it's a live feed thing. I mean, Ramy definitely won. Like, that was a real thing.
Yeah, which seems to be the general consensus anyway. Yeah,
and he was like, came in like fucking nails. I mean, fucking Chad Nichols had him doing like 150 grams of carbs, 2 hours cardio. Like, he's came in on stage at 290. Like, he actually did the stuff that I imagine Ramy was never made to do. And it paid off.
I mean, I would never, I mean, to do 2 hours cardio, 150 grams of carbs, I'd have wasted away on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were saying,
but he kind of needed to.
Yeah. They were saying that the previous coaches just assumed because he was so big that he needed to be carved up. It turns out he doesn't need to be carved up.
Yeah. He carved him up on like 300 grams and he put on like he was so responsive. Like that he just, I mean, it worked. Whatever it was, it worked.
Yeah. You've got to get to know, you know, if you are going to be a coach, you've got to get to know the athlete.
I mean, that's more important than what coach is working with someone to give them enough time to actually learn your body, because at first it's just a stab in the dark. You know, they talk about, oh, I don't give someone a cookie cutter. It always starts with a cookie cutter, and then you see how you respond, and then it's the time put under like for them to learn, because no one knows your body better than you if you've been paying attention. Yeah. And if your coach is like listening and gets a feel for it, then that's when shit actually happens. Hopping to one so that they can repost you on Instagram is going to get you exactly fucking nowhere.
I mean, it's true though, isn't it? I mean, the thing is that you start off with the plan. You know, if I'm doing something for somebody or whatever, then I'll take the body weight into consideration. I'll have a look at how they're looking, assess where the body fats levels are and where they're at. But obviously then you have to put everything down, you write the blueprint out, and from there you then have to make calculated adjustments and changes. That's what I do. You know, if you're going to be good at what you do, or you got to have a good keen eye for what you're looking for. And I think a lot of the times with regards to what we were saying before about with the coaches, they do one show. They haven't got a clue. They haven't got a good eye. They haven't got a full understanding. They haven't got themselves in real condition. They don't know what it takes physically and, more importantly, mentally to get down to that level. So, you know, it's very difficult for these people to really put themselves on a pedestal of credibility in my eyes. That's where it goes wrong. But to come back to the point, the judging, sometimes you see some things and you wonder what the bloody hell people are looking at. And, you know, is there an ulterior motive? And one of these, certainly if you are a judge and you are involved in prepping people, then you shouldn't be anywhere near the judging table.
Yeah, that's a bone of contention, I think. You know, you look at a lot of these new feds and stuff, you tend to find that the judges are coaching people in the lineups and still
can't do that. You can't do that. That is totally 100%. It's a bit like going to court and having your best, you know, and your hook, line and sinker found, you know, like, you know, you're guilty and you know the judge. It just isn't. You just can't do that. It's just
yeah, I mean, I think they try and like swap them out or whatever. I mean, even just from a subjective point of view, your coach has made you look how they think is the best. So they're gonna think it's the best, even if subjectively it's actually not.
Well, subliminally, they'll
yeah, well, yeah, of course, because they created it. They created what they wanted, providing it went well. Like, of course, you're gonna. Yeah.
I'm one of them. I'm a sucker for the truth, me. Anyway, I don't care. I wouldn't be comfortable being handed something if I wasn't worthy of it.
No.
It's just shallow victory. In fact, it's just not acceptable.
Yeah. I mean, I also I think a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I waited for the judge's feedback, like la la. And it's like, if you in 2 weeks can't look at the photos and figure out why you fucking lost, like, or ask your coach, then what the fuck? What? And also, the judge does not want to talk to you. He's been sat down for 12 fucking hours looking. He doesn't know who you are. Like,
but the problem is that, and this is bodybuilding, you're so immersed in you at that time is all that matters.
Yeah, it's true.
Fucking no one else matters.
They're actually waiting for feedback. Yeah, waiting for feedback for validation, really. Like, actually. Yeah. I've never, ever asked for feedback off any judge ever because they don't have a time for my shit. And I can figure out what I was missing when I fucking look back.
So I've got a question off a gentleman who's been competing for years. You may or may not know him, John. Phil Spooner.
Yep.
He's asking, would you advise keto or not for prepping?
No.
There you go. Next question.
Pretty straightforward. Another one. Did you initially start out with training with the high intensity training?
Yeah.
Or did you start with a typical high volume training?
No. For some reason, and this was before, I always started to train and I knew that by training I had to instinctively train to failure. It was just something that made logical sense.
It's fun. It's way more fun. It's way more fun to fuck yourself up.
But it's true. I did, and I wasn't reading the books to do that. When I went in, I was training and just went, I'm doing this routine because no, I didn't. I went in and I'd actually, for some reason, just came to this conclusion of, well, if I up the weight over time, then right, I'm going to get to this big set and I'm going to just train and give it all I've got, and that's all I did. So I was logically training HIT before I even knew what it was.
Yeah, I mean, I think like as well, they're you know, they're rebranding everything and la la la. Anyone who's making advancements is doing an aspect of HIIT training.
Yeah.
Unless they're genetically gifted and they can flush some blood around and they grow, which if you're sat there wondering if you're genetically gifted, you're fucking not, because you wouldn't even be thinking about it. Like, like that's the thing. You're already massive, so you haven't thought about anything. You're certainly not watching any fucking podcasts about bodybuilding because you don't need to do anything. You know, so if you're thinking, oh, maybe you're not genetically gifted. So for everyone else, all of the adaptation has to have an aspect of HIIT, you know, otherwise your body isn't going to respond. If you go and do what it can already do, your body's not going to go, oh, I better grow if you do that again.
It's great when you want to be in that uncomfortable zone. It's challenging physically and mentally.
Yeah, I mean that's what I enjoy being in that zone, because then it's just numbers and sets and pain and all the rest of everything else, all the bullshit or work or whatever you've got going on just melts away. Like for me, like that's the beauty of it, and that's why I started.
Exactly. I mean, it's like I said, it's that challenge. And also use I would advocate that people use a logbook as well.
Ooh, awesome.
Well, Dan, what have you got to say about that then?
Well, I use this thing, and yours might not be working so well anymore. It's called a memory.
There is that, and I used to do that, but I would advocate for a lot of people, because a lot of people, when you've got it down, written down, you know exactly where you were, and then bit by bit, you know that you will be. Are you making the necessary increments? Are you improving?
No, I do agree. For a lot of people, having a thing, a purpose, and going like, you know, if that's a struggle, having a logbook is hugely beneficial.
I see how it is, Dan. I see how it is.
Like
let's put a caveat on that though.
But
if you're
I don't know. I think you remember things. Yeah, and this is true because I learned it in my postgrad of education. Your quickest made memories that are sealed the fastest, the ones that you have the greatest emotional attachment with. I remember everything I fucking lifted for the last month. Like I can pull one out, like because I have an emotional attachment to everything I do in the gym.
I can agree with that. I in all fairness, I'm not saying I registered and logged all my workouts, which I didn't. In all fairness, I was pretty much similar to yourself. But I think I would advocate for a lot of people that they do.
Yeah, no, I'm agreeing. I am agreeing.
I think the caveat has to be though, if you're injury prone like me, don't use a logbook, because I used to try and hit my numbers regardless of outside circumstances. So if I had a day where I'd missed a meal or hadn't drank enough water or wasn't feeling right, I'd still be trying to aim for my numbers and end up tearing some shit off.
I mean, I'd still have in my head like, oh, I did that weight, but it felt a bit dodgy, so I'm not going to push it this week. Or like, there'd be lots of like
instinctive training,
like variables. Obviously, if I was feeling really good and everything was fresh, then I know it's time to like push through and stuff.
One of the biggest things is is also to change numbers sensibly. That's why you have in the gyms the 1.25 kilos and the 2.5 kilos. Yeah. Use them.
I thought they were for
you. Reserve
for natties.
I thought they were for eating.
I thought they were to put your drinks on. I did, like coasters.
Intra workout. But also like the number one thing that I do like now, rather than chasing poundage, is adjustment into like the hardest position, into like a better tempo. So in this log I'm keeping in my head, adding weight for me now is a last resort. I actually don't want to put extra weight on. I want to make it harder in every other way I can, rather than do that, because I'm already like reasonably strong, and I actually haven't really got that much stronger for 5 years, but I've made it harder. And that's why.
Dan, you know, for your tempos, do you have to call someone over to count them for you?
Count my tempos?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can do that in my head as well.
Oh, you can count?
Yeah, I can count. That's how I do the...
People seem to have forgotten that, but...
Can you count 7 hours in the gym?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, though. The brain is an amazing place, if you let it.
I'm surprised you've got so much, like, space to do all this calculating in there, with the whirlwind that's going on in your head.
Yeah, but this is the stuff that whirlwinds round all the time. It's like, it's still going, like, now.
I told you it's Frankie Ball in disguise.
Ellis just asked him a question. He's like, 5. He's like, that's how many reps I did.
Yeah. That's why I don't sleep. I just go, the drop set to 7 plates. CPAP still going.
Like you said, there's many ways in which to go about it. So you're not always chasing the numbers per se, but you got to know that, like, whatever you were lifting, are you then going to go for more reps with the same weight? You know, there are so many ways in which to, shall we say, extend the intensity levels, if you get my meaning.
Well, we call it progressive overload
progressive
now, John.
overload. That's all it is.
Yeah. So that's what they've bundled it all up, and that's what it is.
That's all it is.
What's your opinion on reps in reserve then?
What?
See, I used to have reps in reserve. We called them warm-ups.
Only if you're in a period of where you're just pulling back.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, there is time where I don't hit failure, usually when everything's cleared out and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. You know, when I was saying about them weeks where I'm off, and then I'm thinking, right, just back off. You might just use slightly less weight and just keep the reps a little bit higher and not go into bonkers failure. Just hit maybe failure. You know, there's a little bit there. But when you're in full swing, it's all out war, isn't it? So
I mean, the people that I help would say use this time, address any issues, and like most people need a focus on the form, realign the form. You'll find out you're probably not as strong as you thought you were if you know you readdress all of those things, and then when you're in, then you're 100. I think people that think they can go 100% all the time have never hit 100%.
No, you can't. You can't do that. It doesn't matter. And this is why it's like if people say they're on gear for 12, 14 weeks, I don't care who you are. There's no way you're going to be able to go, even with gear inside you, 12 to 14, 10 weeks flat out with that brutal intensity. Just not going to happen. Just not going to happen. You will hit a brick wall.
How long do you train for?
Back in the day, about an hour. 45 minutes would be, but I'd say roughly an hour would be a typical workout.
A little bit longer for legs, maybe.
It may go over a little bit longer. I mean, but if you can keep within that time frame, the tempo will be good, and you will be really challenging yourself then.
I think people want to rest a lot, and so that they can beat the logbook.
Yeah, there is that, and I think, you know, sometimes you've got to get that tempo right. It's not a race. Intensity is all about being able to put absolute maximum effort into that working set, and that's the only thing, you know, that you're working up to. Everything else is just a warm up, and then once you're at that point, it's all out hell.
So walk us through it. Well, how about just for an example, leg session? What do you do
now? Well,
no, you know, the height, the pinnacle.
No,
not what you do now. 2 fucking toilet thrusts.
I just do leg press for my quads. That's all I do.
Well, you fucking. That's all. Yeah, that's all that was needed.
But I just do a nice tempo as well, and then pretty slow stop, and then press out. Can still do 725s a side. So at a slow tempo, I can go. If I do the tempo a bit faster, I can go up to about 12.
So when it was balls out, what did leg day look like?
Right. Well, this is how I built my legs initially in the first stages. It would be, I'd start off with squats, and this was prior to my first show. And I would do a plate aside, 20 aside, sorry. Then I'd do 2 plates aside, 3 plates aside, 4 plates aside. These are all warm-ups. 5 plates aside. These are all reps of 10. And then I would do 5.5 plates to complete failure. And I'd fail around about anywhere between 8 and 12 reps on 240 kilo. And I would be throwing up. I'd literally be like, oh my God, my eyes popping out of my head. I'd end up having to go to the toilet, throw up. I'd then go on to leg press, load that up, where I would work up like 2 sets and then 1 heavy set to failure. Then I would do the same on hack squat. Then I would go on leg extension. And I built a right pair of quads on me.
So that was like one set per exercise kind of thing.
You mean one working set?
Yeah, one working set.
Yeah, but if you imagine trying to do a plate aside, 2 plate aside, 3 plate aside, 4 plate aside, 5 plate aside, these are all warm-ups. And then your final set is...
Yeah, I mean, this is where the semantics comes in. It's the way that you tell it. Dorian only did 4 sets. And he was like, those are the 4 sets that you never even did in your fucking life. His warm-ups were still harder. You know, most people, these warm-ups, they're not easy warm-ups.
No.
They're not easy. I mean, I find that having the one set in my head of like the active is actually just for me mentally, like to just be like, right, all of that was nothing, even though it was fucking hard. All of that was nothing because I just get 1. Yeah. But actually, if I did 3, I reckon I'd never get near that mentality of 1. So it's for me much. I don't know. I find the focus of just having 1. You know, like if I die on this machine right now, it just helps lock that in. And then buy machine, see you later. Yeah. I'm like, I hate you, move on. But most of the people, I don't believe that you can do 3 sets to full intensity. I reckon that's a fucking dream.
No, that one set was so intense. There's just no way you are not going back there. You just can't do it. Because if you can, you haven't done it properly.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I have the people, if people are doing 3 sets and they're saying they're going to failure past it, yet somehow they're achieving the same reps on the same weights for 3 sets, that's fucking impossible.
Can't do it.
Like if I do my 1 active set and I was to stay on that machine, like if it was leg press, I'd have to drop at least 100 kilo off it.
Yeah, easily. You know, brutal intensity is not for the faint-hearted. And so then after that, I would then go on to lying leg curl, one single leg curl, and maybe stiff-legged deadlifts. And that was it.
There you go. Did you do stiff-legged deadlifts with 8,000 kilos?
Snatch grip.
Legs.
Snatch grip.
No. Just the.
Did you actually keep your legs straight though?
You don't need to be honest with you. You don't need to. When I say stiff-legged, you don't have to be ultra stiff-legged. As long as you can have a slight bend, because when you're doing properly, you'll know when you're engaging the hamstring.
Mm.
So it's all also having an awareness of a mind-muscle connection.
Yeah. So in the hip hinge, as if your leg is bent, as long as it stays.
Is wavering, and that's what I always say to people when I'm actually sort of like guiding people on the train or watch people, and I've had it with people who've been in the game a long time. I just troubleshoot the way in which they hold themselves, how they're pulling through, how they're actually pulling through a movement or pushing through a movement. I see the little things and I troubleshoot the little things.
Yeah,
and that's when people go, "Fucking hell, fire! I feel it so differently."
Yeah.
The bad habits creep in with a lot of people.
I mean, you can tell when someone's loading the back instead. You know, if you have a strong back, you know, and you're loading, you know, serious amounts of weight, you can tell they're not giving it to the right place. It's something that I've certainly struggled with, and I much prefer using dumbbells. Actually, I find the hinge is much easier from that, and then I can feel like the actual stretch. You remember they also always used, there was the thing where there was loads of depth and actually people's pelvis tilt would stop and they just roll their back to get the depth. That was like a favorite. That's kind of gone now, but now you're seeing 3 different deadlift variations, which are what they call Dorian deads, RDLs, and stiff-legged deadlifts. And as far as I can tell, they all look the fucking same.
Yep, I agree. I mean, it's like what people all go, I said, listen, the whole idea of performing the deadlifts, like Dorian or myself, is to transfer the load into the lower lumbar. You're trying to create that lower back thickness. Yes, you're going to engage a little bit of upper thickness in the trap region, but the idea is when you've got to use that exercise specifically for the area you're trying to target. And again, it's trying to get that to connect with that area. A lot of people do miss that out. I see it so many times. I see a lot of people train. And one of the comments that Kerry used to say was, and it was so true, he said, you can tell a lot by a person's physique how they train.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe that. I mean, I find it very hard to connect with like an RDL to feel the hamstring. But if I load it up, I just give it all to my strength, which is my back.
Yeah.
And so then the exercise becomes fucking irrelevant, apart from to put on Instagram, which I don't film any of my shit for Instagram anyway, because I forget, because my phone's in my bag, because I want to escape.
You want to focus on what the job at hand.
Yeah, so I never film any of my shit anyway. But if there's a certain weight it goes past, and then my back just goes, I'll have that. I'll take that for you. And I find that, yeah, that's where I struggle. The weight being much like lower, so I can feel it. If I start thinking about pushing numbers, my back just goes, yeah, I can do that for you. And then
But,
it becomes,
it's like, if people are not getting what they want, you've got to be honest with yourself. Are you improving? Have you changed much? And then there's obviously got to be something going wrong. It's just a logical approach that you have to take with bodybuilding. And it could be, are you truly training the way you should be training? Are you performing the exercise correctly? Are you engaging the muscle correctly? Are you pushing yourself to maximum intensity? And then you come on to the aspects of food. Are you eating what you should be eating? And are you consistent with it? And I keep, and that's all you've got to remember that bodybuilding is the consistency factor of them two principles. Forget the other side, because look at good natural bodybuilders. You don't worry about that. Are you training right? Are you eating right? It's that simple. Marry the two together, keep doing it, and you will progress.
and if you're not progressing, it's probably a coach's fault, and you should move.
Exactly. But it's true, isn't it? Yeah. Let's blame it there and blame on them.
Fucking coaches.
Right. So I think we've come to that point with the 5 tips. So each of our guests, we've asked them to give 5 top tips. It doesn't have to be bodybuilding related. It can just be complete shit if you want it to be.
A lot of them have been pretty shit, but funny.
But yeah, so 5 tips for our...
If they're going to be shit, make them funny.
What, 5 tips to be for body?
Anything. Doesn't even matter. It's like a hindsight thing. To be fair, we tried to do it to ourselves the other day, and it's actually pretty fucking hard. So we do empathize now.
It is actually. I think I think number 1 is pursue something that you have a real passion for. That gives you purpose. I think that's the key in life. Because if you don't have purpose, then what do you have? So you've got to pursue something that, will make you feel alive. And I think that's why all of us are sat here discussing training. Could you imagine not training?
No.
Just imagine it got took away from you. Well, for a lot of people, it has done, hasn't it?
Yeah, sometimes.
Shite. And look what it does to people. The amount of people that have come up to me and they've been struggling. And these are people that are mentally strong as well, as far as I were aware. So, I think we understand the importance of weight training, whether it be for bodybuilding or whether it be for just general overall fitness and well-being. It's not just about the physical, but it's also about the mental. And a lot of people just laugh at that who've not done what we've done, or those people who don't go to a gym. They just don't get it. They're not going to get it, how important it is. So, yeah.
Well, most people think that you join a gym to go to like Ibiza and wear a V-neck. Like, they don't, like most people and most successful bodybuilders, not all, but started the gym for another reason, for an outlet, for an escapism. It's far more. I never had any intention of fucking competing or anything like that. I had some stuff I needed to take from inside and push outside. And that's why I started. And I think for a lot of people, it's that.
It's me time as well, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah.
Switch off. Let the outside world. This is why I don't understand when people are in with the phones. Fucking put it down.
Yeah,
just don't let anybody come into that period of time while you're in there. This is your time.
Yeah, they can interrupt it. Even if it's bad news. I said to my mum, and I've said this before, I said to my mum, if you die, I won't know until after I've trained.
But in all fairness, the
I just won't know.
You won't know. That's it. And people want, I don't know why they want to have that, like that bloody device. It's attached to the hand and hip. leave it alone. It's your time. And
you'll react if you have your phone with you. You're reactive. People can bring you into their stuff, and your gym time should be the time where you're active. You're completely for you, at you how you feel, at the mercy of what you're doing. Why you would allow someone connectivity to make you reactive is fucking beyond me.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm in control of my training. It's one of the very, like, probably the only thing I'm actually in control of, and I want to keep it that way.
Yep. So that'll be the first one, your purpose. Second one.
Use Protan. We can give
with you. I mean, it's, you know what? If you're talking about tans and that, I mean, that's a very good point. I mean, a lot of people use the Dream Tan. You know, it's all right, but Protan, that was one of the parts I used to look forward to, because I knew then I was at the last leg. I've shaved down, and putting on that tan was just like, I'm here now. I'm at the finishing line. And
it is quite good, but when you put the tan on, it gives you just that little, like, 2%, and you look in the mirror and you're like, okay. Yeah.
But it's so important that you exfoliate, prep the skin properly, because how many people right at the end and you think, oh, what have you fucking done with your tan?
Especially if you're in class 1 like me and Dan, because you're always last on and you sweat like a cunt all day. You end up with a green tan.
It's horrible, that. And that's another thing. Instead, it's, you know, this is the bugbear I get with shows, when they fucking don't, the timing of it is dragged out and out, and they don't take into account the poor bloody athletes. Bad enough for the judges, but the athletes being told, you'll be warming up, and then back and forth. Now,
I've never been to a show where it's been anywhere near the time. Never.
Yeah, you're going to be on in 20 minutes. You start pumping up. They're like, you come back out. You're going to be on in 20 minutes. You're like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. I did. Yeah, I nearly shat myself doing that, because I was like, you'll be on in like 10 minutes. So I was like, fuck, I better go and pump. And then but I needed the toilet, but I was like, I think I can get away with it. And then I was like, did like one pump bicep, and I was like, gonna shit myself. and then I had to kick someone out there. And then and then I was called back, and then I didn't. It could have been avoided, to be honest. But I'm glad I'm glad I didn't shit myself on stage. So that would have been. Yeah, that would have been.
Right, another one.
We'll give you the Protan, so that's 2.
You can Protan, but look, for me, honesty is the best policy. Just be truthful in life, and more importantly, be honest and truthful with yourself. Just be true to yourself. Might not get you a lot of friends, but we'll get the right ones.
But aren't you supposed to surround yourself with positive people that only blow smoke up your ass and want to suck you off?
No, I was gonna come to that. You know what I mean? But it's the same way. You've got to surround yourself with like-minded people. You know,
yeah, but people that actually your mates that will tell you
the truth.
Will actually tell you.
That will tell you the truth,
even if you don't like it.
Listen. Don't comfort me with a lie. I'd rather be hurt with the truth than comforted with a lie.
Yeah,
and it's as simple as that. And
most people can't fucking handle that.
You can't. You want the truth, you can't handle the truth, and this is the problem. It's fucking true, isn't it? You want the truth. So there's that.
4.
Number 4.
Bring flush sets back.
Hey?
Bring the flush sets back.
Bring back flush sets.
Yeah. No. I would say number 4. Okay, number 4. Right. From a bodybuilding point of view, especially for beginners, give yourself plenty of time. Master the art of how to train properly and getting your nutrition right. Run with that. Give it plenty of time. Try not to, be coerced into thinking that drugs are going to be the answer. The secret, they're not.
Yes, Jack.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, Jack.
Lay off a trend, bro.
The thing is that they can play and will play a part, providing you've mastered the basics first and you've given them time to embed in. And even then, you might get to a point where you're happy with where you are. And if you want to compete, you can compete naturally. But don't, make a concerted effort on them principles first. And take your time, learn and read and look into the other aspects, and don't just take anybody's word just off the street about using gear and that. You know, you've really got to do your homework there. You know,
To be fair, like Jack's natty, and yeah, he's
you said that, not me.
No, but it's worth saying, Jack has done it, and if he did choose to go down the rolly road of the roiders, like he's definitely covered a lot of bases with being a decent natty, and he's gone about it the right way.
All right.
I told you, new me. Hashtag blessed.
Was that a compliment?
It was. So get it, put it in your sticker book.
And fuck off.
I might cut that out now just to piss him off.
And number 5, probably one of the most important ones in life. Try and laugh at least once a day.
That's really easy if you've got Dan around.
Yeah. Again, and it ties in with surrounding yourself with the right people.
He's not the right person.
No, don't surround yourself with me. I'll drag it down to my level.
Hey, sometimes that level's good.
You laugh on the outside, but you cry on the inside.
The level of the cesspool.
Yeah. It's all right. You guys can like just bathe in it for a bit. I got to walk around with the shit all day.
Listen, well, that's what I say to people. I say, you know what? You might see me on the outside, but if you could fucking get into this mind at times, you'd fucking shit yourself. Oh, but that is the noisiest place on the planet. Your head.
100%.
And the one thing is to try and control your thoughts, and it's easy said than done.
Yeah, I think. Well, the podcast was initially started with a kind of a mental health background, which I kind of ruined by just chatting as a shit. But yeah,
you did a good job, Dan, because now everyone feels better about themselves.
The devil makes work for idle hands,
yeah.
and if you keep your mind idle, then you will feel bad shit will come and creep in and take over. You got to have a focus, like John said, like. Even if it's not bodybuilding, if you're finding bodybuilding a chore and it's bringing a fucking stop, go and find something else that lights your fire. You don't have to be a bodybuilder. There's loads of different ways you can bring success and like happiness to your existence. If this is becoming a chore, you're in the wrong fucking game.
That's what happened really in the end with Dorian, even myself. Got to a point where I went, I've done what I've done. And am I really, really doing this am I really, really as passionate as I was? And I wasn't, you know, and I knew I had to let go. And I felt when I did retire, I left on my terms. I left with people singing my praises, and it was good. Like in the old showbiz, leave them wanting more.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did that. I don't miss it.
Or in Dan's case, leave them wanting more legs.
Yeah. Fuck you, man. Wait till I bring them.
New year.
New year, new me. Positive leg trade. Say that.
What's your next show?
Late next year. I've had a little look at the calendar. I think there's an Arnold that's happening in the UK. And then I think I'll maybe just fly somewhere that's around that time. For me, the timing's more important. I have a structured kind of amount of things I need to do before.
He's getting married in July. Don't know.
June.
Hold on, I got this wrong last time. So you're trying to fuck me up now?
It's June, isn't it?
I'm gonna get married in June. So I'll be dead by July.
I love how he waited for the kickback. He was like, "I'm getting married in June."
Yeah, what time was it? So yeah, like late November, and then hopefully pick up a pro card. That's the plan. Not a NABA one this time.
Just got a message off my lady friend. Ooh. How did it go? You talk a lot. Thanks.
Right, because you're still on.
Well, isn't that the whole idea of having a guest on a podcast sit there like that?
Yeah, I mean, it would be a little bit shit if you were like quadra-spazzed on a life glove and someone just wheeled you in.
We've had a couple of guests. We've had to really bleed them. It's fucking hard.
Yeah, we did have to bleed. We did have to bleed a couple of them. I'm trying to think of.
No. Not at all. No, can't do that. Can't do that.
Dean White went for like a nap halfway through his. Like we just saw him like he just went to bed like halfway through it, and we were like, oh, okay, cool. So we'll wrap that up.
I think what to go back though, what we were saying, like with Jordan Peters and all the others. I think the golden message for all of us, and I'm not here as I'm getting older. You know, I'm not here to hate. I can get angry and sometimes a bit worked up and all that. But as I'm getting older, I'm thinking, I just want people to just come together and get the right message across. I want to see people who are training out there, get good results. I want people to achieve what they set out of goals. When I look at people, I don't want to see people fail. I want to see people successful in whatever it is, and because for that person then will be more positive in their life. As you get older, you see the bigger picture, and it's about.
I do think the ethos, I think that is the ethos of them, certainly from a beginning point. But these things, the businesses, the momentum of stuff, they end up with a mind of their own. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure that is the focus, and was certainly the ethos of starting those sorts of things. But you're right, it's regurgitating something that's fundamentally very fucking simple.
Exactly, it is. It's very simple, and like I say, it's very easy to do. I mean, literally, I wrote out lots of little guides and that, but you could literally write out bodybuilding on two sides of A4 paper, and then just there you go.
Yeah, but that would make you no money.
But I'm not. Do you know what?
But I still think consumerism. Do you know what I mean? If people didn't want it, it wouldn't be there.
No, it wouldn't. No, but the thing is, you see, I'm a man of truth and integrity in that way. I can't do it. I can't say so. Even if someone said, John, you've got to say, you've got to do this and make this up. And I go, I can't do it because it's not.
But they want it. It's
not my principle.
I think it's the association with these people somehow need that for their own drive. Do you know what I mean? It's it's like adding worth to something. I used to help people out for free. But it turned out they ended up treating as if 3 was nothing. It was worth nothing.
Well,
that's why it didn't cost anything.
I totally agree with that. I say to people, look, if you want to come and see me, this is how much it is. It's not that I'm giving it away. The point is, they might go, is that it? Or you write it out and you go, eh? But when they actually come and experience what they have to do, then they'll get a wake-up call.
Yeah,
I've had that as well, down with friends. Your friends, you've done you become their coach, and then they don't even listen to you because it's free. As soon as you start charging them, even if it's only 50 quid for the diet, they'll fucking listen then.
Put value to it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, people it's there. It's the consumer thing. It's when everyone was having a shit because of black plastic. Black plastic, you can't recycle it. Cool. We should demonstrate. Fucking, they all did demonstrations. We just don't buy it because see how fast it disappears and changes when you don't buy it. Consumerism is the driving force of everything. And people forget that they have the power.
Yeah, but remember one thing, it's people earn money so they can buy useless shit.
Mate, look at my house. Mate.
Is that your dildo in the back?
Mate, what? I don't know what you're talking about.
You fucker.
They're not actually mine, but they are in my house now.
I've seen some of the clothing and it's quite nice.
No, to be fair, it's decent quality. I haven't got any, but Alice does enjoy it.
But
and then she can sell it afterwards on OnlyFans.
No, if it's with where Jordan Peters. No, listen, fair play, done it. Just simplify it a bit, mate. Be honest and keep your integrity. That's all I'll say. I'm not here to hate. I'll duff my cap off to him. He's done tremendous business-wise, successful. So fair play to him.
Yeah.
But if he wants to get on the podium with us all, let's have it out. We'll have it.
Would you do a comeback? You do a comeback show just just to compete against
That's
JP.
the title of this
no, I'd
video.
never do a
John
comeback.
Hodgson calls out Jordan.
Yeah, John Hodgson comes for the comeback.
That
Well, we
would
got
actually be your most viewed, I guarantee. you.
Jose Raymond announced we got the exclusive with his comeback, and
Why is
no
he
one
coming
gave a
back?
shit. Yeah, Jose Raymond's going to come and do a
I thought he
show.
retired.
Yeah, he's coming back next year. We did a
Yeah.
podcast with him just before Christmas.
You know, but here you go then. So this is what's happening now. And this is what's happening. There's a correlation between boxing and bodybuilding. At least Dorian quit knowing he could not come back and be better than what he was.
Well, he'd torn everything off at that point, hadn't he?
That's my point. But he knew when to quit.
Yeah.
Ronnie, Jay, Dexter, all these guys have been competing when they could have quit at a stage where, you know what, you're at your highest. Phil
Yeah.
Heath. I was a bit disappointed when I saw Phil Heath. I thought, fucking hell. I've got a lot of time for Phil Heath. I honestly thought if he hadn't sorted his stomach issue out, and I did say this because I was on the previous podcast and someone said, what about Big Ramy? Oh, he won't be in condition. And I'm glad he proved me wrong. I'm glad he proved me wrong. I'm more than happy to say something and go, but it's down to you to prove me wrong. And I'll give you, then I'll hold my hands up and say,
No one thought he'd do it.
No,
no one thought he'd do it. He fucking
But he
smashed
did.
it.
And he smashed it, and fair play to him.
Yeah.
But when Phil Heath turned up, and I saw his midsection, I'm thinking, wow, you know, if that had been me, you could clearly see this isn't right. It's still not right.
I think he's lost like mind connection with it. It didn't look like he could control it in any way.
Well,
The surgery he's had, obviously, he can't do it. It's done. It's over.
I don't think we'll see Phil again anyway.
No, we won't.
But he's still, look, 7 times Mr. Olympia. And let's be honest, when he was at his best, fucking holy hell.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what
up there is one of the all-time greats.
Yeah.
End of.
I think that's when we spoke about this last week. I think he placed higher because you can't help but print him on himself. Your memory of Phil and the wonder that he was, he like turned to the back and you kind of ignored it. You just printed what you thought he looked like onto it. And that's like, you know, that's some magic shit right there.
I tell you what I was impressed with, though, that I do like it. I mean, people say he's a bit blocky in the waist, but that Chopin, he carries his, you know what? He carries some serious quality muscle.
Yeah.
I like to say, though, he needs to get a little bit more harder in detail in his riggable bicep.
Yeah. I mean, I still prefer Bonac.
You see, the thing is for Bonnet, and I think his muscle density and his quality is exceptional.
Yeah.
He has that good hard, he has them clean lines, but he's at the stage where he can't put any more muscle on.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
he is. Because his waist is at maximum capacity and he's not got the widest clavicle.
No.
If he could pull out his clavicle more, then maybe, but he can't.
Well, he's got no torso really. And it's like, and all this muscles on it.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, no, you're right. There definitely isn't a lot of.
I think we've seen the best of Bonnet.
Yeah, maybe he came second, didn't he?
He did, but I mean, you know, like then the year before, and there's nowhere for his physique to go.
Yeah, and now as well, you've got a new age. If Big Ramy's the best, you've got to beat Big Ramy at his own game. And I've said this before, who the fuck's going to do that?
All Ramy has to do is keep coming in condition.
He's going to be doing it for years if he does that.
As long as he turns up in condition, then he's set the standard for the open class. I liked, in all fairness, the classic guy.
Bumstead.
I'm sure he grew that moustache so he could look like Joe Weider.
No.
Can you imagine doing that? Oh, can't you?
I thought he did it so that he'd look like he committed war crimes in Afghanistan.
Sniper.
Because that's what it looked like to me.
Yeah.
Well, you were in the Air Force, isn't it a thing? Like if you have a mustache, you're 8 times more likely to have committed war crimes.
Well, maybe. It's a good moustache that he's grown though.
Don't get roped into Dan shit.
I'll go wherever we want. Come on, let's have it. How dark do you want to go? How dark do you want to go?
Yeah, right. Okay,
thank you, fucking Boyle.
Yeah, that's about right. He's been quite reserved today, mind John. So
I told you, it's a new me.
No, wait. Is it really?
It's a new me.
I don't believe it. I don't believe one bit of it.
Hey, you
we
wait.
just lost about 500 viewers.
No, like obviously I pad it out a bit. Sometimes we don't have a guest, and I tell some stories about some weird shit that happened that may or may not be about my butthole or whatever. But we've got John here. He's got a lot. He's got a lot to say, or not, John,
Or not?
or not. Got John. He's got a lot to say, so I just sit back. You know, I'm like I'm like padding. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm the little chicken fillets. You know, and like if there's any space in the brassiere that is this podcast, just stuff my little things in, pad it out with some bullshit.
Have you ever seen fucking Rick and Morty?
I have not.
You know?
No.
You've got to watch Rick and Morty, mate.
Okay, I'll do my homework, John.
Gamble, that's for sure.
Johnny's a fan.
Yeah.
You're a fan of John.
It's absolutely brilliant.
I'll do my. Is it? Should I have a tissue nearby or?
No, it's definitely not wanky material.
Oh, okay.
It's just on your it's on your level.
It's proper. No, it's brilliantly written. It's superb.
There's things in there that I think only you, like certain kind of wired people, understand.
Oh, it's glitched out.
Yeah.
Well, you are 2D2 then.
That's all right. It's probably. I think I get what he was saying. All right, we better wrap it up because this has been
2 hours.
epic.
We're hungry.
John, it was good to see you again, mate. In person.
Thank you, John.
In person next time, I hope.
Well, let's hopefully, in the year fucking 2058 or whatever.
We'll have a fucking tear up, mate, when you can drink like fucking gypsies' periods and fucking boy. And we'll, yeah.
There it is.
It depends what sort of tear up he means, John.
Mate. John's fucking up for it, mate.
Always.
Thanks for your time, John. Appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Much
Cheers,
apprecited, bud. Take care, lads.
Lads.
Yeah.